Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today is a very cool day because I've managed to get my hands on this, the all-new 2021 Toyota Venza. That's right, the Venza is back in the North American lineup after a 6-year hiatus. It's designed to slot between the Toyota RAV4 and the Toyota Highlander. It only comes as a hybrid, and as you can see, it's got a design that really stands out. I've never seen this design language on any other Toyota, really. And in today's video, I'm gonna go over basically just the ins and outs of the Venza, go over all its technology, because there is an embargo on pricing and driving impressions until July 22nd at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So be sure to come back for a second video where we'll talk about how this vehicle drives. But in today's video, let's figure out where the Venza stands in the Toyota's lineup. Now, when Toyota discontinued the Venza name back in 2015, it left a pretty big gap in Toyota's SUV lineup. And as you guys know, everybody wants to buy an SUV these days. So I'm not surprised that Toyota decided to bring back the Venza. And if this vehicle looks familiar to you, it's because it's basically a Japanese market Toyota Harrier that's been rebadged as a Venza here in North America. It definitely has a very Japanese look to the front fascia. In fact, it doesn't even look like a RAV4 or a Highlander. So I like how Toyota has gone with a completely different styling direction here. Now, the cool thing about the all-new second generation Venza is it only comes as a hybrid vehicle. You can tell it's a hybrid because it's got that blue outlined Toyota badge in the center. The grille, the front fascia of this car is just very smooth. There's no fog lights on this vehicle, although there's a cut right there, a little spot where you could put a fog light. And there's like a small little air intake over there, but it's actually a fake intake. And then you've got these full LED headlights, which are standard. This limited version actually has kind of like an upgraded LED where you'll have the dual stacked LED running lights, LED turn signals, LED low and high beams. You also have a full 360-degree camera that the Limited gives you. You can see the front cameras over at the front fascia. I think this car looks pretty interesting. I'm not sure if I'm gonna like it when you put a front license plate at the front of this vehicle. It's just very smooth, but you can see Toyota did that for aerodynamic purposes. Now, because this vehicle is based off of a Japanese market car, it's actually a lot smaller than I had anticipated, because obviously with it supposed to be slotting between the RAV4 and the Highlander, you expect it to be bigger, and it is. This is based on the same Toyota TNGA-K platform, so it's that new architecture. They ride on the same wheelbase. The RAV4 and the Venza have the same 105.9-inch wheelbase. Its overall length of this car is around 186.6 inches long. So compared to the RAV4 hybrid, this is about 6 inches longer. However, when you compare it to the previous generation Venza, that was actually a bigger vehicle. It was 3 inches longer in the wheelbase and overall length, and about 2 inches wider. This car doesn't look all that big when I'm standing next to it, because it is considerably smaller than something like a Passport, something like an Atlas Cross Sport, or even a Subaru Outback. Now you can see here, the roof of this vehicle is very low. It doesn't look quite as tall as most SUVs, and this one here has that new Stargaze panoramic sunroof, but it should be noted that this sunroof does not open. It's a fixed glass roof. I'll show you guys in the interior what you can do with that really cool glass roof. Now, as you can see here, looking at the rest of the proportions, it's got a very low slung kind of coupe-like design. It swoops down right here really nicely, and the wheels on this limited version are a 19-inch design. You can take your pick between either an 18 or a 19-inch design. This one here is riding on 235 or 225 55 width tires. Remember, the previous generation Venza had 20-inch wheels, so Toyota has made this car a little bit smaller. It's a little bit more nimbler, but it's also a lighter vehicle. Now, at the back of the new Venza, you can see this thing looks a lot like a Jag. A Jag mixed with maybe some Lexus styling elements. You actually have a full LED taillight design, and it kind of gives you, again, that coupe-like look. You have this LED turn signals, LED brake lights, this LED strip that connects the two taillights together, some more chrome trim, and even though it's a hybrid, I like how Toyota has put some dual chrome exhaust tips on this car. It makes this thing look a lot sportier, a lot more interesting to look at versus their other SUVs. Now, opening up the trunk of the Venza, as you guys probably guessed, because it's basically based on the RAV, the trunk space is good. You get around 36 cubic feet with the second row up. There's no third row available on this car. Remember, go buy a Highlander if you want that. And if you fold down the second row seats, which Toyota doesn't let you do it from back here, there's no lever you can pull. I actually don't have final cargo figures yet with the second row seats folded. I mean, you can kind of fold it from over here and take a look at yourself, how much space it has. I would probably estimate this has around 72 cubic feet of space. It looks pretty comparable to a RAV4. So remember, if you guys are looking for more cargo space, you may want to consider something like the Honda Passport or the Volkswagen Atlas Cross Sport. Underneath the floor here, I'm happy to see that Toyota has put a temporary spare tire in this thing so you don't have to deal with a fix-a-flat kit. Now on the inside of the 2021 Venza, because this car is supposed to be a premium, more of a premium offering over the RAV4, this particular one is the limited grade, and it has an interior that definitely feels like a step up over the RAV4. I don't particularly love the black interior color combination. Toyota also showed off a Venza that kind of had like a two-tone caramel interior, which is what I wish this one had. But regardless, this limited grade model, as you can see, looking at it from a glance, definitely has an interior that is a huge upgrade over the first generation Venza, which had some quality issues. The last one that I sat in back in 2013 had panels that didn't fit together very well. Now, first shutting the door, it has a relatively solid sounding thunk. This is the same TNGA-K platform that underpins the RAV4. And as you can see, the Venza has a newer key fob, which is nice. Toyota's been updating the key fob on all of their newest products. With the hybrid version, the button to start the engine is right here. So put your foot on the brake. And because it's a hybrid, you can see there's no engine startup noise. Instead, it just says ready over there, and all the electronics kind of come to life. This limited grade model also has this really nice digital rear camera display, which if you don't want the video camera, you can just do that and it'll switch back to a normal camera mode. This 12-inch touchscreen display is optional. An 8-inch touchscreen will be standard. And this is a huge upgrade over the first generation Venza. If you guys remember, that vehicle's largest display was 6.1 inches. So this is double the size. It really shows you that Toyota is now finally moved on to the 21st century. As you can see here, it has Android Auto and Apple CarPlay and Amazon Alexa. I wish that you can kind of take up the entire screen, but this is basically the same system that you get in the Highlander, the new Highlander with the 12-inch display. I do like how I can kind of show things like my audio here. I can show battery and trip computer information, climate control information. So it's kind of nice that Toyota does that. I can also flip-flop the screen if I want to put this on this side, on the driver's side, or on the passenger side. We'll come back to this display in just a moment. Now, let's take a look at this luxurious interior, because I have to say, this is a huge upgrade over the RAV4. You can see there's some Softex leatherette on this part of the dash. It's also got some stitching, which feels like genuine stitching. This panel here is a soft touch injection molded plastic. Same thing with this upper panel, although actually some of it feels soft touch, while this part right here behind it is actually a hard touch plastic, which is okay. You're going to be touching this area more anyways. Coming over here to the door panels, that same soft touch injection molded plastic with the stitching, of course. This is the leatherette stitching, with some silver painted plastic trim. It tries to look like aluminum, but I don't believe that this is aluminum. There's also some interesting black contrasting, almost like carbon fiber-ish, woodish look trim. It's a very weird looking trim. I imagine if you guys go for a different color combination, it's going to be different. The mirrors, as you can see, they are electrically folding. There's also an automatic mode. If you guys have it in auto, they will fold whenever you lock the vehicle. The window controls have that typical Toyota high quality feel. They're also one-touch automatic for all four. You can see some more buttons over here for your heated steering wheel, power liftgate, your 360 camera, automatic high beam headlights, and your stability control, of course. The steering wheel is the same steering wheel that we've seen on the Camry. It's definitely a steering wheel that, you know, obviously it's been out for a few years now. It's still a very nice wheel, has some decent leather. It's a tilt and telescoping wheel, and actually this limited grade is a powered tilt and telescoping wheel, so that was unexpected. That basically takes it from Lexus, and it makes this car even more, you know, appealing versus going with a Lexus NX. I just drove that, for example. The steering wheel itself obviously doesn't have that same high quality look that you get with a Lexus, but I was really not expecting that. The Venza also has a new instrument panel here. You can see the gauges are slightly different with the font. You have a 7-inch helper display over there where you can kind of push this button here. You can change what you want this to show you. You can show your driver assistance, audio, energy monitor. You can show, you know, what the vehicle is doing with the tire pressures. You can show the all-wheel drive system, where the torque is going. You can show all the status of the safety systems. So this display is definitely a huge improvement. Toyota has been working very hard at making the Venza, or at least their rest of their products, up to par with all the technology that you get. Now, looking over here at the center stack, you can see here are the touch-sensitive buttons, the touch-sensitive panels. And I have to say, I don't like them. It's going to take some getting used to. I don't understand why Toyota didn't just give us a volume knob and a tuning knob. I mean, I could probably deal with the touch-sensitive panels right here with the power, the home, the menu, the audio, the map button, but it just would have been better if they gave me a volume knob and a tuning knob. This is going to take some getting used to, because as you can see, you've got to touch this here, or you can also use the steering wheel controls right here if you want to turn the volume up and down, or skip through your presets or whatnot. Hitting the menu display here, you can see there's your Toyota head unit here with their latest infotainment system. I don't believe they call it N-Tune anymore, but as you can see, to access the CarPlay, you just push that. You can also go back to the Toyota display, push the map display here, and you can see this is the Toyota head unit here. It's the Toyota embedded GPS, which if you don't want to use this, this. You can also, go into the CarPlay mode, which I imagine a lot of you will do that anyways. Pushing the home button here, you can see there's what the home display looks like. And again, if you want to switch them around, you can do that and have the home display over here. This is customizable, and that's all very nice. When I push the little view button over here on the left side, you can see it gives you a 360 perimeter scan, which looks very cool. The graphics could be better. We've seen this display before on the new Highlander, so this is basically just taken right off of that vehicle. The 360 scan is pretty cool. When you put the vehicle into reverse, you can see full top-down 360 camera with trajectory, with parking sensors. The camera quality resolution could be better, but Toyota has really been improving it over the years. It's just not up to the same par that you get with some of the European luxury brands, but remember, this is a Toyota product. Down here, you can see there's a wireless phone charger that's buried down here. You can kind of hide your phone. You have a brake hold feature. You have your parking brake, which is electronic. This is your drive mode selector. Toyota offers us choice between normal, eco, and sport mode. We'll talk about that when I do drive this vehicle, of course. Traditional shifter for the CVT, which I'm surprised that Toyota didn't go with an electronic shifter. This is taking up a lot of real estate space over here, although I do like the soft text leatherette they put on the center console here. I'm just surprised to see this. It has a sport mode over here as well with a manual mode here, but there's no paddles on the wheel, which surprised me. I guess it kind of shows you that the Venza's mission isn't exactly to be super sporty, just more luxurious versus a standard RAV4. Thankfully, if you guys are looking for heated seat or cooled seat buttons, they are over here. I did have trouble finding them when this lid was up. I almost thought that I had to go into the actual display here and turn on the cooled seat, but slide this back slightly and there are actual hard buttons here for the cooled and heated seats. This is standard on the limited grade. The XLE and the LE, I don't believe, have that feature. Open this up, you can see there's like a little bit of storage over there, and then there's a little bit more storage. There's a power outlet over there, your 2 USB ports and your aux port is over there. And then these seats, there's a 4-way power adjustable seat on the passenger, 8-way on the driver's side. The seats are actually very comfortable. These are more comfortable versus the seats that I felt in the RAV4 hybrid, the last one that I drove. And then when you open this up, you can see the glove compartment is pretty decent size. It's damped, but not lined with felt. Now, the one party trick that I want to show you very quick, this is what Toyota really was impressed or was really proud of when they introduced this car. This is the Stargaze panoramic sunroof. As you can see, when I open this shade up, the actual sunroof is tinted. Now watch this. When I push this button right here, it's an electrochromatic sunroof. When I push this button, it just switches to let all the light in. So it uses that technology here to kind of frost or tint the glass whenever you'd want, so you don't have to actually close the shade, you can kind of just tint it. And that's a really cool feature. This is the first ever that I've seen in a Toyota product. Mercedes, of course, has been using it for quite some time, but I think it's really slick that Toyota introduced it on a Toyota product. So overall, the interior definitely feels nicer than a RAV4. I mean, the heads-up display is also nice. You can't get that on the regular RAV4, only on the Prime version. It just doesn't feel that much more roomy in this car. I expected the interior to feel more roomy, but it's actually the same width, so you kind of have still that same feeling of space. My Tester also has a premium JBL sound system with 9 speakers and 1200 watts. It sounds okay, but it's not up to the same Mark Levinson snuff that you get in some Lexus products, but it's definitely worth it, worth the upgrade if you guys prefer to have the best sounding stereo in the Venza. In the back seat of the new 2021 Venza, as you can see, the battery pack for the vehicle actually lives underneath this rear seat, so it doesn't take up any cargo room. And Toyota unfortunately doesn't have any actual legroom figures for me just yet because this car is so new. The space back here is not bad. It's pretty comparable to the last RAV4 that I drove, which had like 37 inches of legroom back here. So if you guys are looking for more backseat space, the Venza technically doesn't really deliver that, but this is still a very usable backseat. As you can see, at 5'7", I have a pretty good amount of headroom, good legroom, there's good foot space. The floor here is not flat, but it's not too much of an intrusive hump. You actually do get rear seat air vents back here. The materials are also soft touch, the same things that you find on the front seats. And if you guys want, there's an armrest here that folds down. These back seats also do have a slight recline function, although you can't slide the seat forward and back. So overall, the Venza's back seat is nice, it's usable, but if you guys are looking for more space, the competition is gonna have to deliver that. Above me, as you can see, this roof, when it's defrosted, lets in a lot of light, but if I push this button here, it will frost back up and it gives you a little bit more shade, but I'm sad that it doesn't open. Now, underneath the hood of the Venza, as I mentioned, this thing only comes as a hybrid. There's no gas 4-cylinder, there's no gas V6 under the hood, and it's a pretty good powertrain. This is the same one that we get in the current generation RAV4. It matches a 2.5-liter Atkinson cycle 4-cylinder. This is their new engine, part of their dynamic force engine lineup, and it pairs it up with 3 electric motors to give you all-wheel drive as standard. Now, unlike the all-wheel drive system on the CR-V hybrid, the rear axle is only driven by an electric motor. There is no physical connection between the gas engine transmission and the rear axle. It's all driven by an electric motor. Now with the 3 electric motors and the gas powertrain, you get a total of 219 horsepower, which is pretty good figures. However, if you guys have the old Venza with the V6, that had 268 horsepower. So technically it has less power. But remember, this is a hybrid. It's a smaller vehicle, so it is lighter. Now, all of this horsepower is paired up with a CVT. It uses a continuously variable transmission, which is a pretty responsive transmission. We'll talk about that, of course, later on in the test drive. But from my driving it in the RAV4 hybrid, I actually really liked this powertrain combination. Toyota doesn't have any performance figures for us yet, but they did have some preliminary fuel economy estimates on this car. The LE model is rated at 41 in the city and 38 on the highway and 40 combined. This limited version and the XLE is rated at 40 city, 37 highway. Now, it should be noted that those are Toyota's estimates. Those are not the EPA estimates. So once the EPA puts those numbers out, I'll be sure to include that in the description to kind of use it as an annotation. Now, as this one sits, Toyota actually says it weighs around 3,900 pounds. So it's a couple hundred pounds lighter versus the old Venza, but about 100 pounds heavier versus the RAV4. I also don't have any towing figures yet. The RAV4 hybrid tows around 1,500 pounds. I'm gonna imagine this Venza probably does the same thing. So now that the new Venza is back in the Toyota lineup, it certainly makes an interesting proposition if you guys are shopping for a hybrid SUV, because as you guys saw, the fuel economy of this thing is pretty comparable to the RAV4 hybrid, but unlike the RAV4 hybrid, which you see so many of on the road, this thing definitely stands out. In the couple days that I drove it, I had so many people asking me about this car just looking at it, because Toyota really did a great job with the design. It doesn't look like any other Toyota product, and it also has an interior that's full of luxury, tech, and comfort that would make Lexus very envious. I mean, I drove an NX 300 a couple of weeks ago, and I find the Venza to be a much more appealing car in terms of the interior and in terms of the technology. Where I'm a little bit disappointed in the new Venza is when we look at the size of this vehicle. It's not quite as big as I wanted it to be. And if you guys are looking for a mid-size SUV that offers more trunk space and more cargo space versus a compact SUV, the Venza may not be your cup of tea. You may want to look at the competition. However, if you want a mid-size SUV that's not quite so bulbous on the outside, that still offers plenty of room on the inside, but with way more luxury, way more technology, and way more style versus the compact offerings, the Venza is certainly worth a look. Now, obviously, right now in this video, we can't talk about driving impressions or pricing of this car just yet, so be sure to come back on July 22nd at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time while I will upload a second video where we're driving this car. We'll talk about where it fits in the lineup in terms of price. But with all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed this quick first look video or overview of the 2021 Toyota Venza. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.